Is it not Yahuah's chief demand of men that we love him with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind, and with all our strength? Without faith, love is impossible, and Yahuah's pleasure in us must be impossible. Again, dear friends, one of faith will create positive variance on many points. Note a few. If I trust Yahuah and believe in him, I shall submit myself to his will. Even when it becomes very painful to me, I shall say, it is Yahuah. Let him do what seemeth him good. But if I do not believe that he is Elohim and that he is aiming at my good, then I shall resent his chastisements and shall kick against his will. What he wills me to suffer, I shall not be willing to suffer, but I shall rebel and murmur and proudly accuse my maker of injustice or want of love. I shall be in a rebellious state towards him, and then he cannot have pleasure in me. Yahuah taketh pleasure in them that fear him, in those that hope in his mercy. But he will walk contrary to us if we walk contrary to him, by refusing to bow ourselves before his hand. Without faith, moreover, I get to be at variance with Yahuah in another way. For inasmuch as I desire to be saved, I shall seek salvation in my own way, and go about to establish a righteousness of my own, whatever it may be, whether it be by ceremonies, or by good works, or by feelings, or what not. I shall, in some way or another, set up a way of salvation other than that which Yahuah has appointed through Mashiach Yahusha. Yahuah's love to Mashiach is supreme, and he will not endure that a rival should be set up in opposition to him. Another way of salvation is anti-Mashiach, and this provokes Yahuah to jealousy. If you are laboring to be saved in one way, while Yahuah declares that through his Son is the only way of salvation, you are acting in distinct opposition to Yahuah in a matter which does not admit of any compromise. Rejectors of Mashiach are enemies to Yahuah. If you pretend that you are Yahuah's servant, you are convicted of falsehood if you refuse to honor his Son by trusting in him. If you believe in Mashiach, whom he has sent, you work the work of Yahuah and not else. Self-righteousness is an insult to Mashiach and a distinct revolt from Yahuah. He who has no faith seeks salvation by a way that is derogatory to Yahushua HaMashiach, and it is impossible for him to please Yahuah. We must be at variance with Yahuah if we are without faith. For it is a solemn truth that he that believeth not Yahuah hath made him a liar, because he believeth not the record that Yahuah gave of his Son. This is the crime of the unbeliever. So is it stated by the Ruach HaKodesh, speaking by the beloved John. Could you take any pleasure in a man who made you out to be a liar? Perhaps with great patience you could bear with him, but you could not be pleased with him. That would be out of the question. Does a man daily, by the mode of his life and by the evident drift of his actions, give you the lie? How can he talk of giving you pleasure? Nothing he could do would please you while he calls you a liar. He that makes Yahuah to be a liar makes him to be no Elohim. To the best of his ability, he undefies the deity. He uncrowns the Elohim of all, and even stabs at the heart of the eternal. To talk of being well-pleasing to Yahuah in such a case is absurd. Let me conclude this point by asking, by what means can we hope to please Yahuah apart from faith in him? By keeping the commandments? Alas, you have not done so. You have already broken those commands. And what is more, you still break them and are in a chronic state of disobedience. If you do not believe in him, you are not obedient to him. For true obedience commands the understanding as well as every other power and faculty. We are bound to obey with the mind by believing, as well as with the hand by acting. The spiritual part of our being is in revolt against Yahuah until we believe. And while the very life and glory of our being is in revolt, how can we please Yahuah? But what will you bring to Yahuah wherewith to please him? Do you propose to bribe him with your money? Surely you are not so foolish. Is Yahuah to be bought with a row of almshouses, or a chapel, or a cathedral? To most of you, it would be impossible to try the plan for lack of means. But if you were wealthy enough to lavish gold out of the bag, would this please him? The silver and the gold are his, and the cattle on 1,000 hills. If he were hungry, he would not tell you. What can you give to him to whom all things belong? Truly, you can assist in an ornate worship, or build a gorgeous church, or embroider the furniture of an altar, or emblazon the windows of a church. But are you so weak as to believe that such trifles as these can cause any delight to the mind of the infinite?